On page 214 are the steps for writing main idea paragraphs. When you're writing a main idea paragraph, that's in the body of your essay, and your main ideas are about the thesis statement. My main idea paragraphs are going to begin with the main idea. And it could be one sentence, just telling about what the main idea of the paragraph is, or it could have two sentences where I'm telling what the main idea of the paragraph is and then defining the subject of that main idea. In this top box, which one of these two types of sentences we'll choose from to start our main idea paragraph? Usually it's going to be the tell about sentence. That's typically what you start with. We're going to ask, does your audience need to know who and what the information is about? My thesis statement is about plants and all the things that plants need in order to live. And I'm going to go to my body of your essay and discuss water. How am I going to start that first paragraph? I'm going to ask both of these questions to see what I need. First, does your audience need to know who and what this information is about? Yes, it's about plants. And what's the information about plants? How plants need water in order to survive. That's what this main idea paragraph is about. I'm using S light bulb to write that topic sentence, that main idea sentence for that paragraph in the body. This S is subject. Who or what is this information in this paragraph about? What idea are you telling us about in this paragraph? Who or what is the information about? Plants. What are you going to tell us about plants? Plants need water in order to survive. So that's my subject and predicate, and I'm putting it together to make my main idea sentence for my paragraph. Let's go to the other selection here, and that is define it. Does your audience need a definition of the main idea? Let's say I'm writing about the three types of rocks on the planet Earth: igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic. I'm going to my body. My first paragraph is about sedimentary rock. Sedimentary rock is one of the three different types of rocks on the planet Earth. I'm jumping over here to ask this second question. Does your audience need a definition of the subject? If my reader does not know what sedimentary rock is, then I need to add that before I can go any further. I can't tell you information about sedimentary rock if you don't even know what sedimentary rock is, if I can't just give you a quick definition about what this rock is. Then I can go in and tell you more about sedimentary rock. We start each main idea paragraph by telling the main idea. Tell what this paragraph is all about. And then we ask, do I need a definition? And we put out our fingers like this, like equal signs. Do I need to define the subject in my main idea paragraph? Once we have that information down, then we go to the second step. These are the details that are going to support our main idea paragraphs. I need to decide, what kind of details am I going to write about? Am I going to describe it, list and draw it, back it up? And typically what I'm doing is I'm choosing between describe it, list and draw, and then I'm deciding if I also need to back it up. Describe it. I have to decide, do I need and then I'm going to pretend like I'm drawing, a description of this information. In list and draw it, that's a combination of describing, sequencing, or categorizing, because I'm taking details and I'm listing them. They could be listed in order, they need to be in a sequence, or they don't have to be in order, and I also could describe each one of those details if needed. I'm listing out those details. I'm either telling why, how, what else, when, or where in my list of information about the main idea. So my main idea was plants need water. Water is one thing that a plant needs in order to survive. Why? How? Where? When? Can I answer any of these questions to help me make my list of details that can either be in sequence or they don't have to be in sequence? There's the two different ways to write out our details about the main idea. Tell the main idea. Define it. Does the subject need a definition? Then I'm going to go into my details where I can describe, list and draw, back it up. My describe and list and draw, I'm choosing between those two ways to tell about my main idea. Once I have either described or listed and drawn my details about the main idea, then I'm going to ask one more question, and that is, back it up. Does your audience need evidence to back up any of these details? And that's where we ask, do we need examples, facts? Do we need quotes, statistic, anecdotes? These are specific details to back up your information. Every time we have a main idea paragraph, we have our motion. Tell about our main idea. Do I need a definition? Let's write the details. Am I going to describe it, list and draw it? Do I need to back anything up? On page 215, these are helper words to write of detailed sentences. On pages 216 and 217, we have our visuals, again with a main idea sentence. Tell about the main idea, subject, who or what is the entire paragraph about, and what information are you going to tell about in this paragraph? And do you need to define the subject? So after I tell my main idea, do I need to give you a definition of my subject? They may not know what that subject is, so I have to quickly give a definition. So we've done our main idea, decided if we needed a definition. Next, we need to choose our details. Are we going to describe or list and draw our details? Describe if it's one subject that you are telling about. You can describe it. Draw a picture, label the parts, and tell the function of the parts. Or I'm going to list and draw my details. I'm going to create a list where I will just list all the information that tell about the main idea in order, or it doesn't have to be in order depending on what the information is, using simple drawings and keywords. And what am I going to do in this list? This list is going to tell why about the main idea, or how, or what else, or when, or where, or a combination of those. Answering the questions that fit with the main idea of the paragraph will be the details that I write. And finally, we have back it up. Once I have my main idea and details identified in my paragraph, do I need to go back and back up anything? Do I need to give an example, a fact, a quote, statistic, an anecdote? So when I'm choosing details, I decide, do I need to describe it? Do I need to list and draw my details? And do I need to back up any of my details? These are the visual tools as well as the hand signs that we give the students as a memory device in order to remember how to write their main idea paragraphs. Let's go to the next tool in this section. On pages 218 and 219, I have advanced main idea sentences. Notice the top box shows subject, main idea. That's what we've been teaching students so far. What's the subject? Who or what is the information about in this paragraph? And light bulb, what's the big idea in this paragraph? What information are you telling about in this paragraph? So we're using our S light bulb for our main idea sentence to start off our paragraph for one of our body paragraphs in our essay. These 2 pages provide students not only with the S light bulb, but other ways they can form this main idea sentence. You're still giving that main idea, thinking about S light bulb, but you're constructing the sentence using these advanced techniques so we can kick our informative explanatory writing up to a higher level. It adds more style and voice to your students' writing. These are all different methods that you could teach students to create more advanced main idea sentences. Notice there are 8 boxes that I just framed here. I cut out each one of those. I glue them on index cards so that they have separate pages. And when students are choosing a more advanced way to start their main idea sentences in their body paragraphs, they can flip through this book to see each idea separately. Now, you don't need to do this. They could just look at the 2 pages with all the ideas together. Sometimes that visually may be too much information at one time for students, so when you have them separated on their own pages, it's easier for them to look at them in isolation. Our first one is subject main idea, and this is what we've always been using. This is where we're going to ask, who or what is this paragraph about? Comments. Identify what information is being written about the subject in this paragraph. So what information is this paragraph telling about comments? So notice, I'm giving you the questions you need to ask in order to put the information down and to form a sentence. And the answer, who or what is this about? Comets. What information is this paragraph telling about comets? Comets come from 2 different places in the solar system. That's the main idea of my paragraph. Next, I can tell you the details about the 2 different places that comets come from in the solar system. But I use this technique and this questioning in order for students to not only form their main idea sentence, but to identify exactly what the main idea is about. You have your S light bulb, these boxes here, where you could just record the information, 2 different places. As you're recording the ideas, then you can go back and you can have students then form the sentence. Let's look over here to refer to the thesis statement to transition into a new main idea. We're beginning that main idea paragraph to remind the reader what the thesis statement is about. So this is what we do. We first identify the thesis statement. Who or what is the entire essay about? The major battles of the American Revolution. So we know this whole essay is about the American Revolution and the major battles in the American Revolution. Next, we're going to identify the main idea of the new paragraph being written. Who or what is the main idea of the new paragraph? The Battle of Bunker Hill. Combine the thesis and the main idea. So watch what we did. We added, refer to the thesis statement, and then we have our subject main idea sentence that we say next. So watch what we have. Another major conflict of the American Revolution, so that was referring to the thesis statement, was the hard-fought Battle of Bunker Hill. So now this whole paragraph is going to tell about what? The Battle of Bunker Hill. Next we have setting subject main idea, where we could start a main idea sentence with the setting. When do I use this main idea sentence? When I know the setting is critical. The time and place are critical for my reader to know the information in this main idea. What are the steps when we form our main idea? We're going to always go to the subject and the main idea. Who or what is the information about? And then, what information are you telling us about in this main idea? So our information is about the Chumash families, and what information? How they lived in app houses. Next, I can go to my setting. Do I need to tell when and where these families lived in these houses? Along the coastal regions of California. I didn't need the when in my setting, but I did need, here's my California, and here's the coastline along the coastal regions of California. Then we had our Chumash, the Chumash tribes. And then what did they do? They lived in their app houses. So I have the app houses that they lived in. The next is turning the main idea sentence into a question. And that's a nice style and technique for you to do this. I suggest that if you start one main idea paragraph in the body with a question, that you should do that with all the main idea paragraphs. It's a nice way to pull them all together. So we have our question. What do we do to form a question? First, we form the main idea of the sentence. We just make the main idea sentence. So who or what is it about? Frogs. What information am I telling this paragraph about frogs? How they live in a variety of habitats. So I choose a starter. Why, how, or what? So I go back and I look at those starter questions and I think, what are the different habitats that frogs live in? And that's my main idea. And I'm using a question, and next the details will answer that question. Let's go to the next page where I have even more advanced main idea sentences. This is called repeat and introduce. So once you're in the second or any paragraph after in the body of your essay, you can use this technique. You can't use this technique, repeat and introduce, with the first paragraph in the body of your essay, because what you're doing is you're going to repeat the main idea of the previous paragraph. Then you're going to introduce the new idea, the new main idea, in the next paragraph of the body. And what are you doing? You're going to state the main idea of your previous paragraph. So that's what we do first. Then you're going to introduce the new paragraph to your reader, which is a lovely way to transition, to remind your reader what they just read about, that main idea, and then how it transitions into this next main idea. Once you record your ideas on the line, you can choose from some of these starter words below here. Our example is about taking care of your teeth. That was our thesis statement. The first paragraph was all about a dental checkup. The next paragraph is going to be about flossing. I make 2 lines on my paper and I just put checkup. What's my new main idea paragraph going to be about? Flossing. Now I go over and I'm going to choose a starter word. So I've chosen although. Then I'm going to introduce the main idea of this second paragraph. Although the dreaded dental checkup battles tartar and plaque, so that's reminding you what the previous paragraph was about. Now I'm going to introduce the new. More often than not, flossing is the superhero of squeaky clean and healthy choppers. My new paragraph is about flossing. Now I can go into all the details. Describe flossing? No. Tell about flossing? Yes, by listing and drawing everything that I have to tell you about flossing. How you floss, what it does to help your teeth stay squeaky clean. We have our repeat the previous main idea, introduce the new idea. Let's go to the next one. Repeat and introduce with a question. I'm building on repeat and introduce, but this time I'm going to repeat and then ask a question. We have repeat what was learned in the previous paragraph. So we draw our 2 lines. In our previous paragraph, we learned where amphibians live, how they live in wet habitats. Our new paragraph is going to talk about where they lay their eggs. We're going to remind our reader what our previous main idea was about. So we have, usually amphibians live in wet habitats, but where do they lay their eggs? So instead of just saying where they lay their eggs, we're going to ask that as a question. And that question is now introducing the new main idea, and we'll answer the question in our details. We also have another technique. Generalize, then state the opposite. When do I use this technique? If I know my main idea is not a typical thing that usually occurs in the world, then I can start off by letting my reader know what is typical and how this is the opposite of what is typical. Let me give you an example. If I were talking about basketball and how some players will use the granny shot, where they will cradle the ball between their legs in order to shoot their foul shot. Okay, that is not typical. Rarely will you see someone shoot a foul shot like that. Typically, they shoot overhand. We have our generalization box. We need to state that first. Then the opposite, what we're going to tell about in our main idea. So our example here was, more often than not, basketball players shoot their foul shot in the respectable overhand style. Yet, physical laws prove the degrading granny shot is by far more effective. So this paragraph now is going to be about the granny shot. I'm going to tell about the granny shot, how the granny shot works, and why it's more effective. Let's go to our last way to transition into a main idea sentence, and that is if we need history, then we need to state the main idea. Sometimes we need to provide our reader with a little history or background before we introduce a main idea. So we give that history, then we tell our main idea. Let's give an example. Here's our history. Proud car owners spend many weekends washing their prized possessions with toxic soaps and waxes that contaminate and destroy their environment. Here is our main idea. This one act has an easy fix, the car wash. These businesses are mandated to direct their wastewater to the sewer, the pathway to a water treatment facility before being released in the river, lake, or ocean. Our main idea is giving the history of how many people, proud car owners, wash their own cars, and all of that goes into the sewer directly, all of those chemicals. And what's our paragraph going to be about? Instead, they should go to car washes that take care of those chemicals before they're released in the environment. And then we'll go into the details about those car washes. These are different techniques that you can use to begin your main idea paragraphs for your students who are ready to add these different tools to their informative explanatory writing. Once they can start their main idea paragraphs, decide if they need a definition, they can describe or list and draw their details, and also decide if they need details to back up information in their paragraph. Once they have all that down and they can easily write their main idea paragraphs, I suggest that you then start teaching these different techniques where they can begin their main idea paragraphs with even more sophisticated sentences.